Death and Dementia video 15. So if you're watching, hopefully you're getting a heads up for some of the things that are coming your way. And like I said, that's one of the reasons we decided to do this is hopefully you won't be surprised, unpleasantly surprised with a lot of these things like we were. So for this one, mom and dad were always people that my brother and I had 100% trust in. And we still love them, we still respect them, we still do all that. But growing up, they were always 100% honest with us and brutally honest. I mean, mom's German for Christ's sakes, and takes cold showers every day or her whole freaking life. So brutally honest to the point where I remember years ago I went through a breakup, and I when I told her, she goes, "Well, do you blame her? You were always at work and never paid attention to her." And then a couple weeks later, she called me and said, "The holidays are coming up. It's gonna be real tough on you for the breakup." I go, Jesus Christ! But it's brutal honesty, and Dad was the same way. And so the tough thing is when you have people that you have 100% trust in, and that you don't doubt anything they say. When dementia kicks in, it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that what they're telling you might not be accurate. And so some of the things that we have noticed with, like, a mom at one point, this is months ago now, had called me and told me that my uncle was in the hospital and he wasn't going to survive the night. And kind of, oh shit, so called my brother and we ended up calling the cousins, and it just, he had to go to the hospital, but he was fine and he ended up going back home. I mean, he's not fine, he's old and he's got his problems, but he wasn't going to die that night. And then after that, she ended up calling me and saying that they had given Dad some medication, and they brought him to a wing of the hospital where nobody ever comes out of alive. Which, if there is a hospital with that wing, that's not good. And so what the hell's going on? And I started doing some digging, and there's really nothing behind that. It was in her head, and she's never made shit up like that, and it's part of the disease. And so when she tells my brother and I something, the first thing in your head is, holy crap, this is happening and this is accurate. But then you have to wrap your mind around, there's a disease going on, and let's look into this before. And I kind of usually am the one that jumps in and goes, let's fucking solve this, and it's bullshit and whatever. But then I have my wife and my brother that kind of, wait a second, this doesn't sound right. Let's see if it actually really happened. With all that being said, I mentioned before, have a good tax person, have a lot of these things handled, because unfortunately I started asking them questions about their finances too late. We're at the point where they no longer had answers for me. And some of the, like one bank, they had all the paper copies. I want to say they had 12 and 15 different bank accounts. And this is over the years. They'd open up like a home equity line and then close it. They open up a savings for the business and then close it. And they kept all the paperwork. Well, when I finally came around to taking over, I didn't know what was open and what was closed. You have to go through all the paperwork with the bank to get permission for them to talk to you. And then you have to sit down with the banker and go basically one account at a time and figure out that, all but one savings and one checking had been closed years before. But it's a pain in the ass. Had I been able to talk to them, had I done it earlier when I should have done it, then I would have just asked them the question, put, closed on that and put it in a file somewhere and been done with it. Same thing with taxes. And I mentioned too, I'm hopefully going to get my tax guy on a video call, and we'll see if they're going to have time to do that. But having someone who's a company you trust with that, and then having a history with them too. If you can get in while your parents or whoever you're helping out still has the ability to answer questions, then the tax person knows the basics of what they're writing off and what their income is and all that stuff too. For me, I had to figure out a lot of it. But now that I'm sticking with the same company, it's much easier year after year because most of the things are similar with the write-offs. One of the things to look out for too, when we moved them into assisted living, we sold their house, and they get Social Security. And so when Social Security found out, when we did the taxes at the end of the year, you had this big spike in income because you had the sale of the house. And as I mentioned, we had to invest that money because we're going to need it when the insurance runs out. Well, Social Security just considers that income. And what they do is they, I guess, reassess the amount that they're going to be given in Social Security. So I want to say mom and dad's combined Social Security income dropped somewhere around $1,500 or more a month. It's something like that, because all of a sudden they have this big spike in income. And when I called and explained, this is just, they sold a house and we're investing it. We're going to need the money down the road. And Social Security basically said that that's how it works. And it's not like they reassess the following year and bring you back to normal levels. They don't reassess for 3 years. So you're going to get that much less money. So if you look at probably 15, whatever thousand, I'm guessing, $18,000 a year for 3 years is what they're going to take from that account, which that money could probably come in handy later, but the government's going to take it. So be aware of some of those things and have a good tax person and try to do a lot of these things earlier if you can. So as the decline continued, and it still continues, I mentioned before that mom can't do email anymore. And by the time I figured that out, because I don't look at their email regularly, there were a lot of unanswered emails from friends. She still has friends in Germany, friends throughout the United States, other relatives, trying to get a hold of them. Mom and dad, mom can answer the phone. Dad doesn't really know what the ring is anymore, so he doesn't answer the phone. But neither of them know how to check voicemail on whether it's the cell phone or the house phone. And so you had a lot of people calling, they weren't home or they didn't answer, and leaving messages and kind of going, holy crap, I can't get a hold of you, what's going on, and worried that they're okay. And my brother and I finally went through the voicemails and started contacting people. And we are private people. Of course, I'm putting all this shit out here on the internet, but that's just because I'm trying to make it a little bit easier on some other people. So at first, we really didn't want to tell a lot of people that mom and dad had dementia. Plus, we didn't want it to get back to them because it doesn't help if they know. So we started calling and emailing some of these people saying, look, they're having some memory issues. They're having some problems. They really can't do email anymore. They really can't check their voicemail anymore. And we gave our phone numbers and our email to a lot of their friends and the distant relatives that if you have a concern, you can get a hold of us, or just keep calling them until they pick up the phone. And because the voicemails and the emails no longer work. So that's kind of it for this time. Thanks for watching. And until the next one, God bless you all. And God bless the United States of America.